What an interesting first half of the 2020s it's been. We've had some streaming surprises. We've had massive blockbusters, Barbenheimer, and then we had Wickaladier. I don't know if that's actually how that goes, but we've had a veritable cornucopia of movies that have run the gamut to really shitty goddamn flicks that made us question our life choices to a holy goddamn shit. Those were so fucking surprising. And many of us anticipated these movies to be absolutely great. And now we must look ahead to 2025 and see what films could actually be so fucking tremendous. What films from the lowly indie level budget flicks to big blockbusters, what could end up being the most anticipated movies of 2025? Well, that's what I'm here to talk about, so let's do it. I'm John Riplin with my 10 most anticipated movies of 2025 list with a few honorable mentions. I forget who suggested this recently. Thank you very much. Feel free to comment. But I did want to do this video because, honestly, seeing all the movies that I have seen over the past number of years, but especially over just the past few years, I mean, honestly, from 2020 to 2021, I mean, I saw like 138 and then like 78. So, yeah, that's not all that much. But then you look at 2022, I saw 200 movies that were released that year. 276 that were released in 2023, and over 300 that were released this year. So I don't think I'm going to equal the 300 plus mark, but I am definitely interested to see how these particular movies play out. So let's crack on. Honorable mentions. Love Hurts with Ke Huy Quan. I am so goddamn glad that that man got a revival to his career, a veritable bolt of electricity, everything, everywhere, all at once. And he just seems like a genuinely nice guy. It's really nice that he's getting more projects. And I've seen a few trailers for Love Hurts as of now, and it looks actually pretty goddamn good. It looks entertaining. The incredibly talented and gorgeous Ariana DeBose is in it. And also Marshawn Lynch, who seems to be making a nice, path into Hollywood. He was in Bottoms, which was really fucking great. It looks like a fun action comedy with some good bloody violence and everything, and just a lot of entertainment. So I'm looking forward to that. And then we go to The Legend of Ochi from A24 that has Willem Dafoe, not as the magical mystical creature that you would want to reunite with its kind, because they actually had to use makeup effects on this particular creature. That's mean. Willem Dafoe seems like a nice guy, but nevertheless, A24 being involved in bigger projects. Looking forward to this. Yeah, it seems a little more on the kids' side, but honestly, A24 branching out into projects like this could be very good. And I've seen the trailer, and actually it looks like it could have some good emotional depth with teaching children, hey, if you ever find a weird mystical creature that kind of looks like, a shaved gremlin, make sure to reunite it with its people and don't get it wet. So, Wake Up Dead Man, aka Knives Out 3. The plot is unknown at this particular time, but the first Knives Out was entertaining. The second Knives Out was entertaining. I don't know if I love them as much as everybody else does. A lot of people really pumped them up, but they have an all-star cast, and I doubt that this will be any different, and realistically, it has put a nice spin on comedy, mystery, whatever, with a lot of entertainment. So, let's see how Knives Out 3 goes. And then we go to Return to Silent Hill. Well, it can't be any worse than the one with Raja Mitchell, or I believe Silent Hill Revelations, I think was the other movie, or am I thinking of one of the games? They did 2 movies. I think they did 2 movies. I don't think they did a third one. But with the rise of actual good video game movies, the 2 Sonic movies, along with the upcoming third one as of this recording, because yes, I'm recording this in the middle of December, and also Super Mario Brothers, maybe not the Minecraft movie coming up, but honestly, some pretty good video game movies. Let's see how Return to Silent Hill goes. Again, it can't be any worse than the ones that they had out in the early to mid 2000s. At least Uwe Boll isn't going to be involved in it, so it's a guarantee that a video game movie at least has a chance to not be shit. Sinners, Michael B. Jordan with a Tommy gun, and it looks like it has a 1930s setting and involves creatures of the night. If you can't figure that out from the goddamn trailer, I don't know what to tell you, but it could be very interesting to see how they spin this vampire deal, because let's be honest, a lot of horror movie concepts, old monsters and everything have been worked to death, and that will be referenced actually in the top 10 a little bit later. But I am looking forward to seeing how Sinners plays out, because the trailer seems nice. It seems like they actually have a nice setting, and the fact that it would be in this time period where you wouldn't expect this stuff to happen. It's not Victorian age. It's not even like in the 1900s. It's not set in the UK. It's set seemingly in the South. That could be pretty goddamn interesting. So let's crack on with the top 10 right now. So, The Monkey from Osgood Perkins. Okay, Longlegs ended up disappointing me severely, incredibly. I don't understand exactly why that movie was marketed as the scariest movie of the decade. Fuck you. But Osgood Perkins does have an understanding of how to do atmosphere and how to, create horror elements and actually push things forward, even if some of his projects don't work out all that well. I appreciate what Longlegs tried to do, but it also ended up disappointing me. The Monkey is based on, the little crank monkey, which definitely sounded less dirty in my head before I started talking about that. But the monkey toy, where, it clashes the symbols and then people die. It looks more like it's going to be the horror comedy route, which is probably pretty smart to go that route since it's inherently goofy, since you could just take that toy and, I don't know, throw it in a goddamn dumpster. But nevertheless, I think the monkey could be good. It really doesn't actually look all that tremendous, but I'm anticipating it because I think there's potential in the concept. And what do you want? There aren't a lot of things I'm necessarily looking forward to that aren't horror related. In fact, looking at this list, it really should have just been the 10 most anticipated horror movies of 2025. But there we are. So The Monkey might be okay. Then we go to Final Destination Bloodlines. Apparently Tony Todd got to have one last role. So posthumously, I know that's not how the term goes, but let's just roll with it. He's back as Bloodworth, and for some reason they decided to dust this franchise off and try again. The fifth Final Destination wasn't bad. I think a lot of revisionist history has happened with that, even though that movie only came out in 2011, I think. I think a lot of revisionist history happened with that, where it's like, oh, it's really good how it tied back into the first film and everything. I'm like, yeah, it's ambiguous with its time period and everything, and that was kind of cool, but it wasn't great. It was better than number 4, The Final Destination, so it pretty much lied. But Final Destination Bloodlines, he's going to be targeting certain people to escape a particular brush with death that have a certain genetic code. Originally, it was supposed to involve paramedics and doctors and stuff like that, and I don't know if that's actually going to be the case. Based on the poster, it almost looks like it's going to be taking place in Nakatomi Plaza, because there's a high-rise and some kind of explosion. But that being said, Final Destination Bloodline, since I love the first 3, at least elements of the third one, I'm looking forward to seeing how this goes. So we go to number 8, The Conjuring Last Rites. After Conjuring the Devil Made Me Do It was decent. I gave it way too high of a grade, admittedly. But this one's directed once again by Michael Chaves, who The Curse of La Llorona, he did Conjuring the Devil Made Me Do It, which had good parts to it, but compared to the first and even the vastly superior sequel, I'm giving pause with this, but I'm putting it on this list because I think that it could work. Please let it work. Please let it not be like, Michael's other films where they apparently trust him to helm this thing. Just put some good writers around him and, have a good team. Patrick Wilson, Vera Farmiga returning for the final time as Ed Lorraine Warren. I'm all for it because I've enjoyed the Conjuring Universe movies. I own all of them. I think except The Nun 2. I'm thinking about getting The Nun 2 just for completionist's sake, even though it was total dog shit. But The Conjuring Last Rites, I'm hoping ends the whole Conjuring thing on a high note. Number 7, 28 Years Later, directed by Danny Boyle. Okay, unpopular opinion. Never really cared for 28 Days or 28 Weeks Later. Liked some parts of it. Thought that 28 Days, which hopefully will be on a streaming service due to right issues, like Sony being kind of full-on dicks for owning that, and 28 Weeks Later is available on a couple streaming platforms. And hopefully they will actually make both of them available just so we can catch up on some of this, because it has been a long time since we have had a 28 insert this time, time of, whatever. period later. It's like 28 days, 28 weeks. I think it was supposed to be 28 months later, and then that got put on ice. It has been a long time. I was in my 20s when 28 weeks later came out. And while, yes, again, I did not necessarily think that the first two were the greatest things on Earth, I'm interested to see how they're going to carry the story forward. And based on the trailer, I'm like, okay, it at least looks kind of neat. And, bringing back an old property, which makes me feel so goddamn ancient because I was only 20, when the first one came out, 2004? 2002, 2004, so I was in my early 20s. The whole point is, that makes me feel really old, saying that that's an old property to bring back. And it could be good. Could be pretty good. Speaking of which, number 6, Wicked Part 2. Why am I anticipating this? Because the first part shocked me as being actually fairly entertaining, with Ariana Grande being a comic tour de force, and Cynthia Erivo being really good as Elphaba. Like I say, the Elphaba Konosuke Takeshita, because I'm just that much of a wrestling nerd. Their chemistry carried it, and the fact that, Defying Gravity is a song that has basically taken the world by storm. After the musical basically took the world by storm, and realistically, I think it will be good. I think it could actually be great, possibly, we'll see. But I'm putting it up here because the first part surprised me, because I actually expected to kind of hate it. And I'm not saying I loved the first part, but I liked enough of it that I'm looking forward to part 2. Number 5, Companion, directed by Drew Hancock. Trailer alone has me sold on this whole goddamn thing. I am very, very interested to see what is going to happen with that. The worst dinner date that I've ever seen at home, that just looks so goddamn good. That looks very entertaining. Looks wild. It could end up being a total goddamn misfire and a flop, but Companion looks at least entertaining enough for me to give a try. Then we go to number 4, Mickey 17, directed by Bong Joon-ho. I'm sorry. The guy who did Parasite. Parasite, one of my favorite movies of the last decade, that is. And this one got delayed quite a bit. It was actually, I think, supposed to come out sometime earlier this year. But Warner Brothers, or whoever the fuck's distributing it, decided, no, we're not going to do that. And it's got Robert Pattinson in it. It looks very sci-fi-ish, comedy, and ridiculous. And if it's anything like Parasite, as far as with great social commentary like Bong is known to do, in that Parasite's not the only film he did, but that's probably the most critically acclaimed film that he did, and the most popular. I'm looking forward to this, though. $150 million budget. That is bold. That is really bold. I don't know how successful it's going to be. I'm looking very forward to it based on the cast, just based on the fact that the director is so tremendous. And also, I mean, his speech at the Oscars, like, I will be drinking tonight. I'm going to be drinking heavily tonight, or whatever, when he won so many Oscars that he deserved, because he directed a tremendous movie. So, number 3, I Know What You Did Last Summer. Yes, they're doing another. Why? Well, did you see I Still Know What You Did Last Summer? Yeah. Did you see I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer? No, you didn't. Shut up. That movie doesn't exist. They actually did do a third I Know What You Did Last Summer movie that had nothing to do with the timeline of the previous two that came out back to back. That other one came out in 2006, and we're just going to ignore that one. And apparently, rumor, innuendo, most of the original cast is going to be coming back. If Brandy's going to be coming back, maybe she can rinse off the dirt that was left on her by the front room. Because Brandy is better than that. Jennifer Love Hewitt coming back looking as only she can look, and a lot of other stuff. Just the element of nostalgia, I think, could carry this film. No, I don't necessarily think it's going to be great, but my God, they revived Scream, and Scream 5 was good, at least to me. I don't know if this is going to... This could just end up being a revival with just total new characters, and they could just have Julie and whatever Brandy's character's name was, and Freddie Prinze Jr., who, God, please put him in a better project, because he's just been in some slop. The Girl in the Pool. So yeah, I Know What You Did Last Summer. Could end up being total trash, but you know what? I'm going to give it a chance. Speaking of giving it a chance, number 2, The Black Phone 2, directed by, once again, Scott Derrickson. Directed once again by Scott Derrickson. I really should have answered, not saying that once again. is his name. That would be a weird nickname. The Black Phone surprised me, mainly because Blumhouse was involved, and it ended up really shocking me with how great it was. And I don't know if this is going to end up being a prequel. If it's going to end up being a sequel, then who the fuck's going to be the killer? Because, spoiler, Ethan Hawke did not make it to the end. Well, he made it to the end, but he didn't make it to the final shot of the Black Phone. Because he was a killer, he was a grabber, and he got grabbed by the Grim Reaper. Though that being said, the two kid actors did a really good job. And if they're going to put a different spin on this, if they're going to do a prequel, the problem is if they do a prequel, we know what happens because we know that we know that only one kid was able to basically get the best of him. So I'm interested to see what they do. I just don't know how they're going to pull it off. But since they do have Scott Derrickson coming back as a director, it could be pretty fun. And number one, with a bullet, Frankenstein. Yes, they're reviving Frankenstein once again. You may wonder, John, why the fuck are you anticipating a revival once again of Frankenstein? An old IP that, has been just told time and time again. Guillermo del Toro is directing it. Del Toro directing a Frankenstein movie. Mia Goth in the Frankenstein movie, but Del Toro directing a Frankenstein movie. Shut up and take my goddamn money. I am there. I am there opening day. I don't care. I will watch it. Because Del Toro understands atmosphere and horror, and he understands how to craft some great stuff. And taking a classic story like this, he's going to put his spin on it, but he's going to honor the material. He's a great follow on social media, by the way. Because he can craft some really good stuff. He's really just great as far as understanding horror, understanding filmmaking. Del Toro is one of my favorite directors going today. He's been a great director for a number of years. I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do with Frankenstein. Because his spin on that could be pretty goddamn good. That being said, what are your favorite or your most anticipated movies of 2025? I'm curious. Yeah, there are the superhero ones. There's the other stuff. There's the Fantastic Four movie that, does anybody really think that's going to be any fucking good? If you do, that's fine. But yeah, that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter, Letterboxd, and Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Rickland. I'll see you soon.